So I'm down here at this Enola low-grade trail is what I believe it's called. It's in between Conestoga and Washington Borough. That's what it's called. It's in between Conestoga and Washington Borough. And it's a trail that goes down to Safe Harbor Dam. Now, I hiked this last Friday in 90-degree weather, and I was dehydrated and it was horrible. So today I have my bicycle and I'm going to try to bike ride it. It's 5 miles down to the dam and then 5 miles back. I'll stop and do some little video footage if I can, obviously. I'm definitely going to try to get some of the dam because it's cool. That's the whole reason why I want to do this again. I brought more water this time and I have a bicycle, so hopefully it'll be a little bit easier on me. But I guess we'll find out. And you can get a bicycle in the back of the Corolla IM here if you take the front wheel off, which you're going to have to do with most cars to put it inside. A lot of people get those racks for the outside of the car that go into a tow hitch. I don't have a tow hitch, so... But yeah, you can get a bike in the back of this car. So yeah, it's the Enola low-grade rail trail. This follows the railroad tracks. And I think it's on the old railway, pretty much. But yeah, so it goes the whole way down to Safe Harbor Dam, and then it ends right here because there's a bridge that's uncrossable, pretty much. There's some information here on it. Who funded the whole thing of it and everything. Rules. Then over here there's more information on it. And right here there's a restored caboose car that was purchased by Manor Township and restored, and it was finished in July 2013. There's a little information thing over here explaining some stuff about caboose cars, and there's a picture of what it looked like before they restored it. It's pretty cool. So since this is right next to the Susquehanna, and it's the right time of year, the mayflies are absolutely ridiculous right now. So I've been bike riding and getting mayflies in my face and stuff. And if you guys don't know what a mayfly is, it's like a pretty large winged insect. Those of you who live around here don't know what I'm talking about, but yeah, it's interesting getting hit in the face with mayflies while riding a bicycle. So there's like a little stream that goes into like a waterfall, and it goes underneath the trail here, and it comes out the other side of the trail in like this concrete spillway and gets dropped out like over the rail tracks that are down there into the river. You know, like a 20 or 30 foot drop down into the river. It's pretty cool. So it looks like somebody shot this with some, like, I don't know, buckshot or low velocity something. Don't be that guy. So right at about the 2.5 mile mark, there's a little, like, there's a porta potty and like a spot to put your bike. And then over here there's one of these nice little like shaded picnic tables. There's a few of these along the trail. They're pretty nice. Be able to sit in the shade and just kind of sit down for a little bit. So like I said, I did this last week and I walked it. So far I've been bike riding it. I'm at about 2.5 miles, which is about halfway down to the dam. And it seems like it's a lot easier so far. But of course I'm not the whole way done yet, so we'll see what it's like when I'm done. In either case, if you're going to walk this or bike ride it, I would suggest bringing a lot of water because it is far. You know, 10 miles isn't exactly a beginner's hike or a beginner's bike ride. If you're going to bike ride this, it's kind of like a light gravel, so you probably want a mountain bike. And this is the bike that I'm riding on this trail. It's an old rusty seat held together with duct tape. And it's a Raleigh, I think. This was a gift from my father like 5 or 6 years ago. It was his bike, but he gave it to me because I needed a way to get back and forth from work. So this would have been about 5 years ago. And then last year when my car broke, I rode this back and forth to work again for like 6 or 7 months. So needless to say, I've used this bike quite a lot. And it is beat up and it is rusty and everything, but it still works just fine. So that's what I'm riding on this trail today. Along this trail, there's a couple of these little wooden-like things. They go up about 3 or 4 feet. And I assume it's to get a better look at the river. This is a section of the Susquehanna River that I believe is referred to as Long Level. It's a section that a lot of people use for recreation purposes, boating, jet skis, fishing, obviously, but that's the whole river. But a lot of people use boats and jet skis and stuff out here because it's so calm compared to the rest of the river. And that's because it's right above the Safe Harbor Dam. On this stand, as well as anything that's wooden along a hiking trail or stuff, there's of course carvings of people's initials and shit in it. Yeah. You know, don't be this guy, you know. This piece of wood is going to last way longer than your relationship, so you should probably just leave the piece of wood alone. So how I was talking about mayflies earlier, there's a dead mayfly here, so you can kind of get an idea of how big it is. I mean, they're like a couple inches, and you know, having them hit you in the face and stuff while you're riding a bike is, well, it's interesting. So there's 2 signs down here. There's just one pointing down, and there's one down there pointing up. It's a designated rock climbing area. So I guess you're allowed to climb up these rocks here. And it does look like it would be good for that. I'm not one who was ever into rock climbing. But if that's something you like to do, that might be a reason to come down here. So there's a pile of rocks here that look like they fell fairly recently. Of course, they fell from up there. And no huge pile here beside the trail. And just from the way they're sitting there and what they look like and everything, it just looks like something that happened fairly recently. You know, sometime here in the past couple years or so. So the whole trail is pretty much like this. It's like a light gravel, and then it's really flat too. So it's a nice, easy, like, thing to bike ride for the most part. So right here, there's like a real little stream. I believe people around here would refer to it as a creek. That falls off the side of the rocky hillside here into this like 2 foot, maybe even 3 feet deep pool of water here beside the trail. So along the trail here, there's one of these metal wire fences that's made to keep like rocks from falling onto roadways and stuff. Never really seen these beside highways. But I guess it would make sense to have it here since this used to be, you know, a railway. So right now I'm sitting at one of these picnic tables that has the shaded canopy over top of it. Just trying to basically catch my breath and relax a little bit before I think I'm past the 4-mile mark. So I got about another mile or so down to the dam. So it's not that far, but I just needed to catch my breath and stuff a little bit. So I was getting pretty winded. Yeah. So I have like a 1/4 mile to go yet, so I'm down to the dam. But here's a little look at it from a little further away. It spans the whole way across the Susquehanna, which is why it's so calm and everything up here, and why there's not a lot of rocks and islands and stuff on this part of the river. It's like there's a little access road that comes out and goes out to the dam. Yeah, Safe Harbor Dam is pretty cool. So we're a little bit closer now. We're almost the whole way down. It looks like there's some people down there, so I'll probably have to wait a little bit to show you guys the little placard thing with information and stuff on it. But yeah, hopefully I'll get to do that. But yeah, I mean, this dam's really cool. According to the information placard last time I was down, they built this in like 3 years, which I can't even imagine somebody building something like this in 3 years these days. I mean, it would take like 10 or 15 years to do something like this now. Yeah. So here you can see that old railroad bridge you can't walk across. It's pretty dilapidated and falling apart and stuff. As you can see, there's a no trespassing sign. For your safety and for the safety of the state's financial situation, I assume. But yeah, I mean, they don't want you walking out on there and getting hurt. It would be really cool if they would restore this one so we could walk across it. But last year, or the beginning of this year, there was one down near Peckway that got burned down by an arsonist, that they did actually allow people to walk across. So I kind of doubt they're going to ever make this one to the point where you can walk across it. Of course, that would be really cool, but I just kind of doubt it's going to happen. It's also a really faded American flag over there. Somebody should change that out. Yeah. So down there you get a little bit better look at the dam from the downriver side of it. Susquehanna drops about 100, 150, maybe 200 feet down on the other side of the dam here. This is the river in its more natural way of being, where it's a lot of rocks and a lot of little islands and stuff. Apparently, from what I understand, there's some like petroglyphs from the Indian settlers, or Native American settlers, down on these rocks down here somewhere. The Wandering Woodsman has a little video about that. I'll probably never get to see them in person because I can't swim, so I kind of doubt I'll ever go out on a boat in the river to see some ancient carvings. But, you know, there's like I said, the Wandering Woodsman has a video on it, so you can go over and watch that video. But anyway, this is the whole reason I wanted to do this 5-mile bike ride after last week. Last week was awful. Don't walk this unless you're really like experienced in walking super far, and it's not super hot, because that really sucked. Also, you can fish off of this side of the dam over here, which is kind of cool. So there's some pictures here of when they started building it. They started building in the late 1920s and finished in, I think, 32 or 33. There's a picture of that bridge that we just looked at that was falling apart back when it was still in use. So that's pretty cool. You know, some other pictures here. What the dam looked like when they finished it, which it still pretty much looks like that for the most part. A few changes, I'm sure. There's like an overhead picture here. There's a picture of the turbine. I'm pretty sure this dam generates electricity from the turbine, with the water flow turning the turbine and all that. You know how dams that generate electricity work. Here you can see some other things. The Holtwood Dam construction begins, Holtwood Dam opens, some other stuff. The preparation begins at Safe Harbor, river work begins at Safe Harbor. The first power is generated from Safe Harbor, so from 29 to 31, so 2 years. They built this all in 2 years. That's ridiculous. Like I said, if they did it today, it would take 10 or 15 years probably. There was just a different way of doing things back then. You know, back then you weren't as concerned about worker safety and all that, and it was how you got a lot of stuff done really fast. Today we have unions and stuff, and unions are great, you know, when you need them. But it's just hard to get anything done like they did back then. So there's a bench right here to sit on, right next to the Safe Harbor Dam, and you can get a real good look at it. You know, and you can see the difference between this side of the river and this side of the river, and the height difference a little bit better. there are some people down there on the dam. I don't know if they're fishing or what they're doing. But yeah, it's worth the bike ride or the walk if it's something you enjoy doing. If you don't enjoy walking or hiking, there is a way to drive to the Safe Harbor Dam. There's right near Conestoga, there's a way to drive up and into like the dam, and you can park down there, and you can even walk out on the side of it down here that you can fish off of. Yeah, so if you don't like walking or bike riding, you always have that option if you still want to see Safe Harbor Dam. Last time I was down here, I saw 2 or 3 bald eagles. Down here in the Safe Harbor area, there are a lot of bald eagles, which is cool if you've never seen bald eagles, you know. It's definitely a rare thing to see just flying around.